Hi, welcome to another Who Are We interview. Through this discussion, you will hear from Don Bundock, CEO of Quality Track, the company behind Group Metrix. Don outlines what Group Metrix is by first explaining what they are not, then what their service is all about, the cost, which often equates to a fraction of what hotels charge for a single room night, and their free trial month to help hotels experience its value. The links to all these offers are below, and I really hope you enjoy the conversation. Hey, Don, thanks for joining us today. And firstly, thank you for coming on board as an expert partner. I look forward to having a lot more conversations with you in the future about what you guys are all about. But for now, the focus is really finding out more about Group Metrix. So let's start with a really simple, open question. What exactly is Group Metrix and how can it help revenue leaders?
Well, one of my favorite books, and I'm really going to be dating myself here, so I'm a little reluctant to mention it, by Edward de Bono, called "I'm Right, You're Wrong."
Right.
It's a very ironic title because it's exactly the opposite of what the book is about. But anyway, one of the things that he talks about in that book is having conversations and being persuasive and getting people's attention. And I think it's true now more than it's ever been is that people are so barraged with so many things. I get 100 apps a day in my inbox that are going to tell me they're going to change my life. And so, you have a very short attention span for that kind of thing. But the natural thing for people to do when they hear about something new is their brain wants to shortcut it and just go, oh, yeah, this is like that.
Yep.
And that's my problem. When I
Okay.
start talking about group metrics, people go, oh, yeah, I got one of those. They don't. So I'm going to take the unusual tack in telling you what we do by telling you what we don't do.
Okay, makes
And
sense.
with any luck at all, I will keep myself from being put into a box that I don't want to be in. It's worth a try, right?
Absolutely, you go for it.
So what we're not is we are not something that is going to help you with your mixed decisions. We're not a displacement analysis. We're not trying to help you figure out which pieces of business are good for you. With the catering lift, how does that fit in? Does it meet your mix goals? We don't do any of that.
Okay.
All of those things are what I call like inside the four walls of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
That's stuff that is all specific to you, and there's lots of services that will do that for you.
Yep.
That's not what we do. We look outside the four walls of the hotel.
Okay.
Interestingly, no one would ever consider for a minute trying to do transient room pricing without knowing what their competitors are charging. And
Yep.
there's
Makes sense.
dozens of services that will do that.
Yep.
There are not dozens of services that will do what we do, which is do that for groups. We're
Okay.
able to provide you with basically a really good verified outline of what your competitors are charging for groups. And it's not just the meeting room or the sleeping room. It's the meeting room, it's catering, breaks, how much is the LCD TV rental. Are there things like comp rooms that affect the room cost, fees that get added in all the time, resort fees? So you can't just grab a room rate. This information doesn't really exist in the wild anywhere. It's not on a GDS. So that's what we're doing. And the way that's different, and the box I'm trying to keep out of is the box where it's inside the box of the hotel. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. We're outside. We're looking at all these variables, and we're not telling you what you should be charging. We're not
No,
making
just
you don't know.
providing
I don't know that.
information. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Our approach to this is kind of a layered approach. We think the people in the hotel are the ones that know absolutely best what's going on in the hotel, and we're not going to presume to tell them anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to give them a tool to use in that whole matrix of tools that they're using that just gets a little bit of competitive information in there to see if maybe they think they might be able to get a little more room rate, or they might sell a little bit less but get the business because they have a competitive advantage.
Yeah, it's like if
So
they were pricing rooms and trying to do it without knowing the competitors, it would just be a guessing game. But you're
I think
taking away the guessing.
nobody would even think of doing that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But people do it all the time
Yeah.
in group conversations about how much should we charge for this? What can we get for this? Well, do we want to have this business? there's no way to say, and what's the other hotel going to be charging? How are we going to, our competitors? Even people know who their comp set is.
Yeah.
Interestingly, when we set up the comp set information for the hotels, they usually start with what they perceive to be their transient room comp set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes about 3 months in, they come back and say, "Oh, we've been looking at this stuff for 3 months, and these guys aren't really competitors of
These are-
ours," and put another one in. So that's basically the box I don't want to be in.
So what you're not and what you are, all in one snapshot. Now,
Very,
you were talking not just about the actual cost of the meeting room, for instance. I mean, you were going pretty granular there. But I mean, even things like typically the rates for group and meeting rates, they're not published. I mean, how on earth do you go about getting all that information?
we do it the old-fashioned way. The 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 roots of QualityTrack, which is the company that runs Group Metrix, is we've been a mystery shopping company exclusively in the hotel business since 1996.
Hmm.
And one of the products that we have offered and do offer is performance shops, where we call reservation agents, and we call sales teams, and we call the hotel, the restaurant reservations or the spa, or all these things in the hotel. Any place where there's interaction by phone
Hmm.
with a customer potentially, we kind of jump into that and do the mystery shopping, where we pretend to be a customer, and we've been doing that for decades for groups, and we realized sort of the collateral benefit of doing that is we were also finding out how much people were charging for things.
Okay.
And so it occurred to us that maybe that should be a whole different thing. And so that's sort of how Group Metrix was born. We use the tools and experience that we've honed over years to present let's call it a plausible face to the hotel, so they believe we're potentially a real customer.
Hmm.
I'm not going to get into all the
No, no, no.
logistics and the complications behind that because we don't have an hour.
Yeah.
So we mystery shop, and we initiate all of our calls by telephone,
Hmm.
because it's just more effective. That's
Yeah.
eventually, though, the conversation turns into email. We go back and forth, and they send us a proposal, and they forgot to put in the meeting room price or whatever. We go back and forth with email. So we behave like a real customer. We just mystery shop them, and we get all those rates. And once every 2 weeks, we publish a report to your hotel
Hmm.
telling you what we found out about your competitors.
Wow. Okay, that is old school, but effective.
Definitely, definitely. Only crazy people do this now.
But I can imagine the information that you must get would be invaluable. I mean, I'm not just here trying to, do a big PR job for you, but I mean, genuinely,
That would
to
be
have
okay.
someone provide that level of information to them for the M&E team to be able to then make valued decisions must be hugely valuable.
Well, and it does go beyond rate. There's things that change all the time. The rates are definitely yielded. So,
Hmm.
we don't get the same rates all the time. We
Sure.
get different things all the time. We also find out interesting things. Sometimes we'll call and the hotel won't have any availability, and they'll offer an alternate date. So that's also interesting information to find out that, oh, this hotel doesn't have space on that day. So
Yeah.
now if you get an inquiry that you're gonna be able to do that. Uh, but it goes a little bit beyond rates. Every quarter we take the collateral material that we collect, and it's voluminous when we get proposals. We
Mm.
get a group proposal. It's got
I can imagine.
catering list and wine list and the bar menu and the AV stuff and all this stuff. We get all that, and we accumulate it. Now that doesn't change, you know, daily or weekly. Nobody's yielding their wine list.
No.
So it's pretty static for at least a season, usually for a year, unless something
Hmm.
really changes. So we gather that up, and then once a quarter, we go through and we pull out sort of all those versions of that collateral material, and we forward that to the hotel as well. So not only
Okay.
will you get the rates, you'll also see how are your competitors presenting themselves,
Yeah.
their customers. What does their collateral material look like? And then again, looking at a much more granular look than we do in the reporting, because we can't report how much they're charging for a glass of wine in the
No,
bar.
sure.
You can get that information out of the collateral material that we send quarterly.
Makes a lot of sense. So connect a few dots for us, okay? Um, you're working with your clients, you're providing this hugely valuable information. How are you seeing revenue leaders within your clients actually making best use of this information?
I think they use it kind of the way that we hope they would, like in conjunction with their sort of local knowledge of
Hmm.
what they're doing. They look at it, and I think it's a little bit incremental in that they might look at the reports and decide that maybe, we could get an extra 10 euros
Yep.
for this room because of what's going on with the competition. So I think they use it as kind of not a final test or a sober second look at their pricing,
Hmm.
but it kind of gives them a little bit of latitude, because usually their group pricing is going to be set in a range.
Yep.
Everybody has their here's what we'd like, here's what we'll take,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of kind of situation. It might do it would be doing a good job for them to help them pick where in the range they should land,
Understand.
and that would be so we get a lot of feedback from people that are quite surprised at what they see. I had one client, they were shocked to find out every one of their competitors was charging $500 a day for the LCD rental,
Oh,
and
wow.
they were
And they
throwing
weren't.
it in. They
Wow.
weren't. So they're
Goodness
thinking,
me.
well, we can charge 400.
Yeah, exactly. They could just,
So
yeah.
it's just instant revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that makes a lot of sense, and I guess so. It almost works kind of at a litmus test that are our pricing in the right areas straight off. Secondly, can we be a bit more competitive? Can we up the price slightly more? Thirdly, to the point that you've just mentioned there, are there areas where there may be additional revenue that we're leaving on the table that others are picking up? And then I guess fourthly, what you're looking at is how are your competitors being seen in the market in comparison to you, the way that they're approaching those profiles. So there's a pretty, there's a vast amount of information. Um, you've told us what you're not. You've
Right.
told us what you are.
There you go.
You've kind of outlined why it's important. But you've also told us it's old school and people are doing this. Now everyone's leaning into software, cloud, efficiency, cost effectiveness. Surely this must be expensive. I mean, what are we looking at here in terms of a cost?
Um, I really would like it if I could do this with some sort of artificial intelligence and some sort of bot that would phone up and be able to, to do a German English accent
Yeah.
call, and as opposed to having to have, we do calls in lots of languages. Everybody is a natural speaker, so they're
Hmm.
not talking, grade 9
Yeah,
French.
because just to
Somebody,
clarify, we're talking global here, aren't we?
yeah,
This is
yeah,
not just US focused. Yeah.
we work everywhere. From a cost point of view, it varies a little bit depending on how many competitors you have
Sure.
in your comp set. Kind of our base is 4,
Hmm.
average is I think 5.5 in
Hmm.
most across the board for our comp sets. Um, because we are global, it's hard to like quote a price because we
Yeah,
bill
because
it
you
in
compare it.
currencies.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to ask me that question, partly because we
That's what we
talked
need
about
to
it.
do.
Yeah, exactly. Um, a good way to illustrate the pricing is I took a look at what the group rates we are getting from our hotels, just in all the data that we get back,
Hmm.
and the cost of the Group Metrix service on average works out to between about a third and a half of what they are charging for a one single room for one night.
Okay, so let me just. So to use the Group Metrics service for a month, assuming on the basis you're starting with 4 competitors, yeah, and you're
Mhm.
evaluating 4 competitors, the cost for a month is equivalent to, as you say, roughly say a half of what they would be charging for a room night.
At the most. I
Oh,
want to
okay.
use the word. I mean,
I was expecting a lot. I was expecting a lot more than that.
to me, I mean, I don't want to sound facetious about it, but it's kind of trivial if
Uh
you
huh.
look at what the actual potential upside
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
If,
Absolutely. That's
you
why I just was sort of a bit stunned for a moment.
if you use us, well, maybe I should raise the price. I need a big revenue
Maybe
management
someone
guy
should
to
be
help me.
doing them.
But yeah, if you use our service, you run the cost for the whole year and you pick up one group, one
Yeah.
meeting in
Yeah.
the entire year, you've absolutely got have a good ROI on it. And there's no downside to it. There's no way that it doesn't produce enough extra revenue to pay for itself.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, you mentioned, I mean, we're using the example of four competitors, but you said when you looked at your average, it's kind of 5 points something, which obviously there aren't a 0.5 of a competitor, but I know when you're averaging it out. So you could have, if you wanted to have more than four competitors, if I was sitting there thinking, okay, I know I've got half a dozen, 6 or 7 key competitors, I can have as many as I want. There's just an incremental price depending on how much extra work you're putting in, yeah?
Our largest comp set is 28.
28
Yeah.
for one hotel.
Yeah, well, it's a group. It's a citywide thing, and
Oh,
so
okay.
we have a special program that we run. If you are a hotel that has a very high level of density in
Mm-hmm.
the city,
Mm-hmm.
rather than signing up a single hotel, you can sign up a group of,
I've
say,
got you.
8
Okay, and then
hotels.
you're looking across the whole.
We're looking at a
Ah,
combined,
okay,
and
okay.
it's kind of nice because then the 8 hotels, it's all paid for the
Yeah,
whole process. So they can just say, okay, well, I want these 5, or I want these 6, and then a different 5 or 6 than one of the
and
other
they can
hotels
just
wants.
split it out depending
They
on.
can just, yeah, they can just pick it all out like
Ah, pretty smart. Okay, all right. So we know what you're not. We know what you are. We know what you do. We know how it adds value. How do I get going?
Sure. Well, the easiest way to make any connection anywhere is email.
Sure.
It's pretty simple. I'm just don@qualitytrack.com.
Okay.
And so that will get right to me really quickly.
Yep.
We can post, when we're finished this, when we post it, I'll post a link with it.
Yep.
That will be a connection to my calendar. You just
Okay.
click on the link,
Perfect.
and all my availabilities in real time. You can pick a spot. If you want to talk to me, it usually only takes 15 minutes to make sure. And I would prefer to talk to people.
Yeah.
I like everybody to really understand, and I like to start to build a relationship with people. At this time of year, in starting in August right through the end of the year, we know everybody's up to their ears in budget season, and so we have an offer that we always do for budget season, which is basically a free month.
Oh, right.
If we're gonna want you to put us in your budget for next year, I think it's only fair that you should see what you're gonna get. So we kind of have a try before you buy thing. We'll put the link in as well for that. It's just a 1 month free. And you
Oh,
go
pretty
through the
cool.
registration process, give your
Yeah, but it gives you
competitors.
a chance to see what you're getting, don't you? Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll do that, and then you can decide. And so I agree. If anyone is watching this that is remotely intrigued by it, uh, I don't think there's any downside in the product. There's certainly no downside in trying it for a month.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. And we'll make sure when we post it, obviously on Revenue Hub and through our socials, we'll make sure all those links are in there as well. So conscious of your time, and I know you just wanted to give like a quick kind of intro to yourself and what you're all about. I think we've covered all the key bits that we wanted to. So thanks again. Great to talk with you. Welcome on board as an expert partner, and look forward to talking with you again in the future.
Appreciate the opportunity. Nice
Take
to see
care.
you.
Well, I hope that conversation was of interest, and thanks again to Don for joining us. If you have any thoughts or views on this conversation, please feel free to comment below. If you like the discussion, please don't forget a thumbs up. And if you're interested in more of our videos, here is a link to our Expert Insights playlist, and here is the link to our Coffee Time Chat playlist. And here is the button if you'd like to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks again for watching.